Hello, this is Billy Joe Saunders, WBO middleweight champion of the world. Subscribe to Sporting Icons to stay in touch with all the top news. God bless you all.
You know, the whole Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders saga over the last few days, several days, and even 24 hours has been a little bit draining for myself, and I'm sure many of you. It's hard to know what's true, it's hard to know what isn't, it's hard to know what's mind games, it's hard to know what isn't. Now, Billy Joe Saunders, of course, he has taken to social media and said that the fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez is, of course, back on. They've agreed to the ring size, which I'm presuming is going to be 22 feet. I ain't going to harp on about all that. I'm bored of that subject now. Of course, my last video where I put out that the fight's cancelled and whatever, with a thumbnail with the words cancelled transparently printed across the thumbnail there. Some people said, what? Why have you put cancelled in it? Well, because his dad said it was cancelled. I mean, that's the only reason why I would put the word cancelled in it. Is what it is. Now, why would Billy Joe Saunders do all this? Why is Billy Joe Saunders saying how he thinks Eddie Hearn is on the side of Saul Canelo Alvarez? Bring up the whole things about the judges. Bring up about maybe even the pay, because they agreed to a maximum of 15,000, but now it's going to be 70,000 in the stadium. Why is it that he's talking about the ring size? Why is he talking about this, that, and the other? Why all of it now when a lot of this could have been dealt with in the initial contract? Is it all just mind games? We know Billy Joe Saunders, he does have a bit of a history of messing with his opponents. He's done it with Chris Eubank Jr., he's done it with William Monroe Jr., he's done it with David Lemieux, he's done it with quite a few opponents. Of course, he's from the same kind of ilk as Tyson Fury. These two are very, very close, they're best of friends. Of course, he's been spending a lot of time with Tyson Fury over the last couple of weeks as well, over in Las Vegas. So is Tyson Fury behind any of this kind of ruse, any of these kind of mind games? Probably, to be fair, probably. But I do think a lot of it is down to pretty much mind games, to a point where they're using the whole Eddie Hearn situation. They're using the different scenarios, the judges, the ring size, and whatever else. There will be elements of truth to it from their perspective, but it's also from multiple angles. So if he does lose the fight, while Billy Joe Saunders isn't going to come out with all kinds of excuses, fans will, or at least some fans will, and point to some of these situations. But if he wins, what a psychological genius he is. He's much like Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is the master of mind games, and look at what he's done to Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder and all these kind of things. And then, of course, when it came to Deontay Wilder for the rematch, everything that he said he was going to do to Deontay Wilder, he ended up doing. Why? Because Wilder didn't believe him, because of all the past misdemeanors about mind games, saying he's going to do one thing and do the complete opposite. Okay, so I mean, I understand all that point, and just on that particular subject, I suppose, I know people say that Tyson Fury, he said what he's going to do, and he actually did it. Well, he always says he's going to knock out his opponents every single time, without fail. He says that I'm going to step to it, toe to toe in the middle of the ring, and I'm going to knock him out. Just because he's done it once doesn't mean that that's always going to be the way going forward. Don't be surprised with any kind of mind games when it comes to Anthony Joshua. Say one thing, do the complete opposite. Or say one thing and actually do it. Very, very difficult people to work out, that's for sure. So I think a lot of it is down to some kind of psychological warfare, that is for sure. And when you just look at it from the perspective of the judges, the ring size, because I see like a lot of fans saying, well, quite clearly, he's going to be on his bike. He's going to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez the same way he did David Lemieux. And to be honest with you, there's a very realistic chance that is what's going to happen. Now, many of you know I speak to his trainer, Mark Tibbs, quite a bit. Not as much recently, but I have done. So I don't have any kind of insider intel. I haven't spoken to Mark about this particular fight or any kind of tactics. Not that, of course, we know each other that way anyway, in the sense that he would tell me what the tactics are. Of course not. So what I'm saying here is, from my own perspective, it's got nothing to do with Mark Tibbs or anything like that. Now, when you look at him talking about the ring size, when you're looking at the judges, you're going, okay, he's planning on boxing, moving, using his advantages. Do what he's done against David Lemieux. And as I said before, there's a very realistic chance that's exactly what he's going to do. But when you look at it and you peel back some of the layers, does Saul Canelo Alvarez believe that's what he's going to do? Yeah, probably. Is that what Billy Joe Saunders is actually going to do? Because he's asking for a bigger ring. He's asking for neutral judges, planting the seed. I'm going to be on my bike in this fight. I'm going to be boxing, moving, do what I've done to a David Lemieux and what have you. So Canelo Alvarez comes in the fight thinking that's what he's going to do. But in fact, Billy Joe Saunders actually turns around and meets him in the middle of the ring. Shocks him. Could he do that? It's a possibility. Because when you look at, say, a lot of the Mark Tibbs fighters, while they're very good boxers and they have very, very good boxing IQ because of Mark Tibbs, because of his father, Jimmy Tibbs, but they're not pure boxers, whereas they go on the back foot. They just use a jab the entire fight. That's not usually what they do. From time to time, when they have to, of course they do. But they go looking for the knockout. That's what a Mark Tibbs fighter does. When Billy Joe Saunders was with Jimmy Tibbs, that's where a lot of his knockouts were coming from, weren't they? So maybe this is his plan. Can he knock out Saul Canelo Alvarez? You wouldn't put your house on it, would you? You really wouldn't. Not because Billy Joe Saunders doesn't punch hard, but he's not known as being the biggest puncher in the world. And Saul Canelo Alvarez is known for having a pretty good chin. If he can take those huge shots from Triple G, I'm pretty sure that Saul Canelo Alvarez can take him from Billy Joe Saunders. Or maybe not, you never know. Maybe just the element of surprise may do Canelo. It may well do it. So I do wonder if a lot of this is just to plant a seed to Canelo, but in fact Billy Joe Saunders and Mark Tibbs, they've devised some kind of plan. They've seen something in Canelo Alvarez that says, you know what, we don't have to box, but as a plan B, we could do that if plan A doesn't work. And plan A may well be going straight at Canelo Alvarez. Do the one thing that Canelo just would not expect. Potentially, right? You never know. Maybe I'm thinking a little bit too much out of the box on this one. I don't know. As I said, as much as I like Mark Tibbs, and we've spoken many, many times, honestly, I have no inside intel. So if it turns out that he has done this, believe me, it hasn't been any kind of inside intel whatsoever. It's just me thinking a little bit outside the box as to why such a big deal has been made of a ring size and the judges, when maybe they're thinking, it doesn't really matter about the ring size, doesn't really matter about the judges. I plan on taking all of that out of his hands. Because Billy Joe Saunders will know that Canelo, he does get favourable scorecards. He does. I'm not saying that he loses these fights. I'm saying that a lot of the scorecards are heavily in the favour of Canelo. Billy Joe Saunders will know that. Mark Tibbs will know that. So anyway, drop your thoughts below about it. Click thumbs up. Subscribe. Catch you all in the next video.